Hamza for Iman, belief. Allah says in the Quran, every human being is in loss except those who believe and do good deeds. Belief in Allah, the angels, the books, the prophets, the last day, and the predestination are very important. People should be encouraged to look around and to actively think about Allah and to believe in Him. Allah says in the Quran, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ. Do they not look at the camel, how it was created, and the sky, how it was raised up? وَإِلَى الْجِبَالِ كَيْفَ نُصِبَتْ وَإِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ. And at the mountains, how they were set up, and at the earth, how it was spread out. We are always encouraged to look around, to think, to reflect. And if we look at the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam we are given in the Quran as well, how he was looking around and thinking, and that sense of gratefulness and thankfulness brought him to the conclusion that he must believe in Allah and worship Him. He said, الَّذِي خَلَقَنِي فَهُوَ يَهْدِينِ. He is the one who created me and guided me. وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ. And He is the one who feeds me and gives me to drink. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. And when I am ill, He cures me. وَالَّذِي يُمِيتُنِي ثُمَّ يُحْيِينِ. And He is the one who causes me to die and brings me back to life. وَالَّذِي أَطْمَعُ أَن يَغْفِرَ لِي خَطِيَّتِي يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. And He is the one who I hope will forgive my sins on the day of judgment. Ibrahim alayhi salam was thinking and reflecting all the time, and this sense of gratefulness brought him to believe in Allah. We must believe in Allah and then submit to Him and do the actions He has commanded us to do. Iman and then Islam. If someone has Islam without Iman, so basically they do all the things that Allah has commanded them to do, but they don't actually believe in Allah, then that's a big problem. It's essentially hypocrisy, because acts of worship are being done for someone other than Allah. And unfortunately, the big problem is, this is the case with many of us Muslims today. Why is it that so many people are leaving the religion? One thing we notice is that many people who leave actually never were properly convinced by it in the first place. They were just brought up doing it because that was what their grandfather did, and that was what their father did, and that was what their father passed down to them. So they just followed blindly without actually thinking about it. And then one day when they grew older and they mixed with maybe a few atheist people and they actually thought about it, they decided actually it doesn't make sense to me, and they left it. It does make sense, but their false thinking led them to believe it doesn't make sense. But the point is, though, there are many people like that who are given the religion and they are not encouraged to think, they're not encouraged to ask questions, and they're told to just blindly follow without actually thinking about it. So one day they decide to think about it and they say, actually, I don't believe in this, and they leave. It's not just Islam, but this is a big problem now in the 21st century for all religions. More and more people are leaving Christianity, leaving Islam, leaving Hinduism, leaving whatever religion it is, and becoming atheist. Why is that? Because they were brought up just blindly following their religion and being told to not ask any questions about it. And one day when they actually did ask questions, they decided it doesn't actually make sense, so they left their religion and became atheists. Now we as Muslims know that with these other religions, it's actually to be expected that one day these people will realize it doesn't actually make sense. However, with Islam, it's not like that. Islam makes perfect sense. So if people actually do think about it and they do ask questions, they will come to the conclusion that it does make sense and they will be convinced by it. The problem is, though, too many people are told to blindly follow. So what's the solution? We should all encourage each other to look around, to think, to understand and reflect over the Quran. Finally, there's a story which my teacher always mentions, and I also quite like it, of a Polish man called Muhammad Asad who converted to Islam from Judaism. He was then approached by Christian missionaries who were really surprised to see that a Jewish person would convert to Islam, so they tried to convince him to convert to Christianity. He thought about it, asked them some questions, discussed with them, and then came to the conclusion that it doesn't make sense to him. So they said, okay, don't worry, accept Christianity first, and then it will make sense to you. And here's the reply which I really like. He said, this is exactly why I chose Islam, because Islam says to understand and believe, then accept and submit. But you're telling me to do the opposite. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all and keep us all firm on His religion. Wassalamu alaikum.